Today, I'll show you 5 of the easiest and most effective Minecraft farms for the early game. So let's start off with the wheat farm. As the name implies, the wheat farm produces wheat. Now that's very useful for stuff like bread. And of course, if you want to see how this works, all you have to do is flick this lever right here. Then the trapdoors will close and carry all the wheat and seeds into this hopper, and that's brought to this chest here. Of course, it's not all there yet, but that's basically how it works. As long as you had a mining adventure, you should have everything required. And to show you how I built this, I'm going to be showing you a brief step-by-step. It's not going to be too long though. I want you to see the rest of the farms. So what we do is start by building a cobblestone line, but first we start by placing 1 block here, skip 2 blocks, place 7 extra blocks. Should be a 10 block straight line as long as we add 2 cobblestone stairs right here. And of course, right under here, we'll be placing our chest and a hopper. At both ends of this cobblestone line, we'll be placing 2 more this way. And then we're going to build another line of farmland going across here. It should be 8 blocks wide. And we're going to keep it going about 6 more blocks back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we'll create a big square and we'll fill that up. And at the other side of this farmland square, which is now quickly turning into a dirt and grass farmland square, we're gonna place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks just like this in a line. And we're gonna be placing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more blocks, kind of like a container to keep the water that we'll be having in a minute. And we're gonna be placing oak trapdoors facing this way, placing them and opening them just like this. And we're gonna be adding cobblestone along here so the water doesn't spill everywhere once it collects everything. And then we place all the water right here. You could probably do pretty well if you're using just 1 bucket out of making an infinite water source like right next to the farm. Then you can like go back and forth and fill in these spaces. Now we're gonna get 1 more water bucket and place it not on the hopper, on the complete opposite side of this little thing that we made earlier for the first step. Now from here, you just make your grass or dirt blocks in the farmland, place your seeds, and let it grow. Of course, before you start doing that, we're gonna be using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 block trail of redstone dust, and we're gonna be placing a lever right on it. That way we can control the water and the trapdoors and collect all of the wheat. And that's basically how you make a wheat farm. So the second farm, and a favorite of mine, is the cow farm. And please don't think it's my favorite because it's torturing cows. It's actually one of my favorite sources of food. So basically all you need to do is go on top of the contraption and feed the cows in a semicircle pattern. It will produce new cows, of course, but it will also kill off older cows due to suffocation due to NDC cramming. And of course, the cow's remains will be in this chest right at the bottom of the contraption as always, and it produces quite a good amount of leather and beef. Wait another 5 minutes and we can do that all again. And the farm itself is pretty cheap on resources, and you don't even really need the hopper or the chest. You can just really have the cows die and just kind of sit in this corner and collect whatever you can. And of course, building this thing is pretty easy. All you need is a hopper and a chest facing out, hopper facing towards the chest. We place cobblestone around, 1 up here, to which we place cobblestone stairs. Then we just allow cows to hop in here. So to do that, of course, we'd lure them with wheat. And since I don't see any cows right now, just gonna spawn one really. Now here are 2 of them. You really need 2 of them to start breeding them and to start multiplying them, which is very necessary for the farm. And there we go, we got 2 of them in there. Now you've done that, if you don't see any more cows, and if you don't want to put any more cows in ahead of time, we can just place a oak fence on top of the farm. And with that, we can break this block on the side of the farm. The cows won't escape. Let's find a place where we can place this water bucket and block up the gap. Now the cows are floating. And with that, it'll make them a lot more easier to breed, especially as the number increases. Now we breed them. This won't lead to the blood slaughter of cows yet. You need quite a number of cows to actually have them suffocate. So I think you need like, I'm just spitballing here, 24 cows. So although the model and design is easy, the whole breeding of the cows thing takes up a little bit of time. That's why I especially recommend making something like the wheat farm as described earlier, like before you make this farm here. Both are great sources of food and one helps the other. It's pretty useful. Next up, we have the sugarcane farm. And this is one of my favorites because it's a great source of paper, which is used for books and maps. And if you have this farm with the cow farm that I showed you earlier, it's a great duo for tons of books. Now what I have here is a 1 block sugarcane farm. It's just basically 1 block here, 1 sugarcane. Once the sugarcane grows up enough and activates the observer, it'll be harvested by the piston and hopefully end up in this chest. However, you know, some kind of stays in there, so I suggest checking out these farms regularly. And the best part about these farms is that you can make them as long as you want. You can also make them as tall as you want as well. I remember when I used to record at SMP for this channel, and I built like a gigantic sugarcane farm. I don't know if I ever had that on camera before though. But it's the same thing here. Eventually, once it activates the observer, all of them will be harvested. This is the amount of blocks that I used. And I'm not really gonna go step by step on how to make this. I've already have a tutorial on my channel if you guys want to see that. But what I will do is make basically a brief summary of how I made it. So what we basically have is a lot like the wheat farm actually. Something to hold the water, with the water bucket flowing towards the hopper so we can collect the resources. We should also replace these cobblestone here with 4 pieces of grass block or dirt block or sand. That way we can place your sugarcane on top. And on the back, it's something you really have to keep note of. What we do is make sure we build 1 cobblestone block up, then we place our pistons, and then we place our observer. And there we go. But if the sugarcane were to come onto this observer, the pistons won't activate yet. What we need to do is place cobblestone on the back of the pistons, and then grab 4 pieces of redstone dust and place them on top, like this. Now, once it's activated, we'll harvest the sugarcane, just as it's intended. And basically what I did from there, we'll just continue to build the walls or whatever so the sugarcane doesn't end up anywhere it's not supposed to be. And that's basically how you make a sugarcane farm. But what if you're really early game and you haven't gone to the nether yet for an observer? Well, in that case, you can of course replace an observer with a stone button instead, or any button really. This will do the work for you. This will activate the pistons whenever it's harvesting time. However, you're gonna have to man the machine, a lot like the wheat farm. Another great farm is the Cactus Farm. Why is that? It's a great source of bone meal, experience, and green dye. Not saying that you ever need green dye, but like, it's great to have. Now the way this thing functions is pretty simple. The water here carries whatever cactuses are being harvested by this fence here into this hopper, and it goes from the hopper to this chest right here. Now, this doesn't have to be a chest. We can also place a composter down here and it would kind of like fill up with bone meal instead. And of course, if you throw the cactuses in a furnace, you'll be able to get experience from it. I hear it's a great source of experience from furnaces. And another great part about this is that the design can also be kind of quadrupled. You see here, we got like a mega version of it. And if we want it to be even bigger, we can basically just build an entire platform on top and do the same thing we have here. Instead of placing a hopper, we just leave an empty hole. The cactuses will fall down right into this hopper. It'll be collected in the chest, just like you saw with the other farm. But for right now, we'll just do the small one here. Here are all the materials required to build it. It's probably one of the easiest farms, especially if you're in the desert. Now, building this is simple. First of all, you start by a 5x5 hole and continue to dig 2 more blocks down, just like this. Next up is to place 4 sand blocks just like this, not making contact with the wall or each other. Don't place the cactuses on top of that. And then once you do that, what we'll be doing is placing 4 spruce planks. That way the cactuses will be cut off once they start growing, as you'll see in a little bit. Of course, you can eliminate these 2 if you want. If you want to be like really simplistic with it, it can just be 2. It'll harvest the cactuses just fine. It's really not all different, it just looks better with 4. And of course, once you do that, place a water bucket in one of the corners of this, and it'll flow all the way here, leaving an empty space for the hopper. So we'll do this breakdown here, place the hopper, we'll go underground and see if we can place the chest under the hopper. I have to take out the sand since I'm in the desert, and it'll look just like this. And that's basically how you build one of these. Let me just fix this wall real quick. And if you want to add the installments like I showed you, that huge one right there, all you gotta do is basically build it again, but overlap this section here. So instead of building another 5 blocks next to it, build 4 blocks and basically repeat the steps I've showed you for this. Same with you want to do it over here, all that. And that's how you build the cactus farm. So if you're gonna make the cactus farm, I suggest that you make this with it so you can maximize the XP that you get. So basically how this thing works is that you put the cactus and whatever burnable thing you want to put in here. And next up, you put the fuel in this chest here. So like coal, that's what I put originally, but it's gone now because it went into the furnace and here it is. What it's doing is smelting the cactus and throwing the cactus in this chest right here. And you see, the more it smelts, the more experience I'm supposed to get. So Just to give us a quick test, what I'm going to do is go in game mode, survival. Before you collect the experience, flip these levers. That way you can collect the output from inside of the furnace and it doesn't drop into the chest below. I'm currently at level 3, slightly above. I'm going to pull out this pink die, immediately to level 6. This one here, immediately to level 8. And if you keep doing this, you'll smelt a lot more things than just 2 stacks of cactus, and you should have a pretty good way to earn experience super early in the game. You know, something that doesn't involve going to the nether to get quartz or slaying a bunch of mobs. So all you need really is a little bit of iron to make hoppers. Besides that, the rest is pretty easy to make. The levers, the chest, and the furnaces. And I don't think I really have to show you how to build this because it's pretty straightforward. The top is for the cactuses or whatever you want to smelt. Right here is for the fuel, and this is the output. Flick this down, you're ready to pull out whatever. Let's just say you let it run for a few hours, and you flicked it, like, all right, I'm ready to pull out whatever I need. Just pull out the green dye or whatever, and you're done. Flick it back up and just let it keep smelting things. And that's how you build a furnace XP farm to go with your cactus XP farm. So if we took away the chest and went 1 block up with the hopper, what we basically have is a hopper that we can put on a cactus farm, like I showed you earlier. So it immediately goes in here and immediately stacks up with green dye. Not that you need it, what you need is the XP. So that's pretty cool. Now I have to say that one of the best early game farms is the iron farm. The idea of building an iron farm used to intimidate me, but after seeing this one design where you can build an iron farm within 1 day of Minecraft, it completely changed my perspective. Now, although it's a pretty simple farm, I've already gone through all the 5 tips. You know, your trial has expired. So if you really want to know how to build it, I have a tutorial on my face right now. Then yeah, that's it. I'm going to sleep.